to talk as I, okay. So the meeting is, so we're now recorded. So let's get going. So first, let's start off with, we're 3/4 of the way through the year. Wow, huh?
Yeah.
It just seemed like yesterday that we're like, it couldn't get any worse than 2020, right? We're celebrating a new year and saying, hey, but 2020 actually was, it was a good year in real estate. I mean, it was basically, there was two types of people, those that, had their best year ever. And then those that, buried their head in the sand, and rightfully so. I'm not judging either way, but I mean, it was either or. It just seemed like it was either or. And this year was kind of similar. So I think a lot more people are coming out of the fog on that. But there's a group of people that are having a record year. A lot of agents are actually making more money, but selling less houses because prices have skyrocketed so much, which is kind of, there's a book called The Good to Great. And in the very beginning, it says the enemy of great is good. So, because when things are good, you're not motivated to like fire up on all 8 cylinders and go. So when you're actually making more money than you've ever made, it's a little hard to get motivated to say, let's do more. For some it is. I mean, for some people that's, they're always motivated to do more. But anyway, let's get going. So right now, agents, everybody on this call is going to fall into one of 4 categories. Okay. And either number 1, you're behind on your goal, right? Number 2, you're at your goal. Number 3, you're ahead of your goals. And then number 4, you don't have a plan. You don't have a goal or a plan. So, and then hopefully you're not in the number 4 category. So hopefully, and I don't care which one you are in the first 3, if you have a plan, you're ahead of 95% of the agents, right? Because they say that 95% of people don't have a plan, and that's in general. And so I'm assuming that carries into the real estate community too. So let's look at the challenges and the things that you should consider as you write your 4th quarter plan. So what I want you to do is I want you to write a 4th quarter plan. Okay. And not only just a 4th quarter plan, but I want you to break it up into 3 months, because we're already halfway through October. So, but I want you to write down a plan for each month, because at this time of year, each month is different, right? I mean, so because, you have October is different than November. November starts the Thanksgiving, the holidays, and then December obviously, is different again than the other 2 months. So, but for each one, so you should have your plan. So write down your 4th quarter plan, but break it up into 3 1 month smaller plans. And then October obviously is only 2 weeks left. So, but let's look at some of the challenges, right? So if you're behind on your goals, right, your challenges are you're frustrated and you may have the tendency to give up. Well, don't do that. The worst thing you can do at this time of year, especially if you're behind on your goal, is to give up, because then what happens is your first quarter next year is it's pitiful, it's abysmal, right? So because remember, everything you do now has an impact 30, 60, 90 days from now. So if you want to be able to pay your taxes, then that's today's activities, right? Does that make sense? So but some of the challenges are, remember, the activity you're involved in now will bring in the income in the first quarter, right? These are my notes. So then the thing are, so who are you? You have lack of personal motivation, right? Or you lack of specific goals and objectives. Or you have, so if you're behind on your goals, you have inconsistent prospecting, right? Poor time management, or last but certainly not least, you're working with too many buyers, right? Now, I'm not saying don't work with buyers. However, if you want to do high levels, then you need to have a ratio of, minimum of 60% sellers, 40% buyers. And the higher you want to go, the different that ratio is. I mean, the mega producers, people doing a couple hundred deals, are barely working with buyers at all. They'll have somebody on their team do it, and one of the things that I teach is you don't have to have a buyer's agent. You can certainly employ a showing agent. So a showing agent is, and you can give them a small percentage of the transaction where you just have where they just open up doors. You get the buyer agency contract signed, you get the loan approved, right? Get them all set up, and then the showing agent just takes them out and shows houses. And so then, then when they find a house they like, it comes back to you. You write the offer, you negotiate the offer, so you can manage a lot more buyers that way. And I'm not saying not working with buyers at all. This is if you want to do higher volumes, and if you're not reaching your goals, there are ways of working with buyers that are similar to working with sellers. I mean, let's face it, boys and girls, if you take a listing and throw it out in the MLS, boom, it's gone. I mean, if it's priced correctly and you got hit by a bus, I mean, I'm talking run over where they cleaned you up with a broom and a shovel, and that listing's going to sell in spite of you. So, I mean, that's the work. You get it signed, you put it in the MLS, priced properly, an offer comes in, you negotiate it, and then you get it signed, and then you wait for the buyer to close. I mean, how many, and you can handle, 10 or 12 or 15 of those with the same energy as 4 buyers. But if you had someone else doing showings for you, you can increase your number of buyers that you can manage. So, but those are some of the issues, right? You're going to feel frustrated. You cannot give up. I mean, you cannot give up at this time of year. It is so critical to set your year up for next year to stay focused this year. And so, and then let's look at the next guy. So the guys that are at their goal, right? Their challenge is if you make one wrong move. So if you're on track to reach your goals, if you make one wrong move, your goal can slip away, right? So this group starts to disappear this time of year. The consequence is Q1 will be slow, right? I mean, that's it. So because you're reaching you're on track and things like that, and you're like, well, things are good. So you start to throttle back, and then you start to buy into, you're going to hear, after the holidays, you're going to hear that over and over and over, that you're going to start to think that the real estate like ended, like it's over. Well, that's not true. I mean, you can run the stats. I don't have any up in front of me. I should have pulled those up, but I mean, they're easy to look up. Just go into the MLS and look up sales per month, and you'll see that in the previous years, there's been a lot of sales. Now, granted, some of, they're down some, however, but here's the beautiful part of this. Now, this time of year, typically October is a pretty decent closing month or a good month. And so for us as a company, it's always been actually one of our better months. But as you start hitting into November and December, the volume starts to go down. But here's the great news. The number of agents that fall out is in greater proportion than the volume going down. So there's actually opportunity to pick up some market share. There's opportunity. Hey, think about it. If somebody has to sell, and, if you get a lead in a December lead, they're motivated. Man, I love those December leads. Love those. I remember getting a call one time, had a guy, client from out of state called me up and says, it was like the day after Christmas. He says, hey, we're driving in. They were from California. They said, we're driving in. We want to buy 2 or 3 houses. I'm like, yeah, baby. I mean, this guy, when somebody says that, they got money hanging out of their pocket. And so he was involved in a 1031. They had sold a farm in California and came in and bought 3 houses. And the most expensive one he paid was $165. And of course, they're all worth $350, $400 now. So he loves me. So anyway, so let's get back to it. So, again, so people that are leads now are motivated, right? So the things is for if you're in that reaching at your goal, right? You need this, and no matter where you're at, you need to be doing these. Hopefully, if you're exceeding your goal, you're already doing the things I'm telling you. But these are kind of characteristics of where you're at and what you should be doing. So if you're at goal, you should be sourcing your business and then find out what are you neglecting, right? Now, some people say if you want to go to hundreds of deals, then only 40% of your business should be SOI. You know, if you want to do 30, 40, 50, which is a lot, 20 is a lot, 20 deals at a $12,000 average commission. I mean, that's 240,000 gross revenue. Hello. How many people here would want to make that? Why wouldn't you want to be? How many would want to make more? So the other one is too many leads, right? You got to clean out your leads. You know what leads are like? They're like clothes in your closet. You open up your closet, it's full. You got to like move things over to pull something out. Now, let's face it, boys and girls, that closet is packed full of clothes, but there's maybe, 5, 8 shirts you wear, 3, 4, 5 pants you wear. Why not get rid of them? The ones you're not wearing, get rid of them. If you like something that used to be in style and it's no longer in style, the best way to get it to come back in style is to get rid of it. As soon as you get rid of it, there's like this committee waiting for the last guy to get rid of it, and then they bring it back in style. So anyway, so you have too much, the notes say social media, but too much reliance on just standard social media. Social media has its place, right? Has its place in business. However, unless you're spending a fortune generate leads, you're buying them, then that's a different story. You can reach your goals, but it can get expensive. I teach that social media, I teach the SOI is where it's at. If you want to reach the 20, 30, 40, 50 deals, SOI is awesome. You can even do higher than that on just strictly SOI, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to go hundreds and hundreds of deals, then you obviously got to add other things. But so let's just focus on the SOI. The primary means of communication to your sphere of influence should be the telephone. That is number one, not social media, not direct mail, not email. Those are all have its place, but those are supplements, and those are around your phone call. The phone call is the hub. Everything else is around it. Okay. So, the phone call is so important, right? So that's why I say too much social media. Now, social media has its place, but it's to supplement your phone calls. And the other one is buying leads. Are you buying leads? And your SOI is so easy and very inexpensive to get leads from that to buy them elsewhere is silly, in my opinion. It's silly. So any thoughts or questions on that? You guys are able to speak. So if anybody is not able to speak, just we got a couple allowed to talk. So allowed to talk. So getting the bottom, those that have came in since I started talking. Okay, so everybody, you'd have to unmute yourself, but you're allowed to talk. Okay, next thing I want you to do if you're at that goal category, excuse me, is examine your cash flow for the, and then for the 6 months, are there any gaps for the next 6 months, right? Keep an eye on your cash flow. What do I mean by that? Do you have this, right? Are you on the roller coaster? So now there are seasonalities. Now there should be some, but the gaps that I'm looking for are, do you get busy? You get 3, 4 listings, you get 2, 3, 4 pending, you got 3, 4 buyers, you got a dozen leads you're working, whatever. And then, so what happens is you stop prospecting. You stop looking for new business. And that is like, and that's great because you're going to have all this business. What happens is because you stop looking for new business, but business keeps rolling for 3 months. Because remember, everything you do today has a paycheck 3 months from now. So what happens is you're still getting paid handsomely for the next 3 months. And then all of a sudden you're getting lulled to sleep. And then all of a sudden, bang, you have nothing. And that's I've been there, done that. And that's brutal. That's a brutal way to live. Then you're sitting there with nothing. You get on the horse again. You start calling and talking and whatever. Then you get busy again. Then you ride the roller coaster, but so the key to you're still going to have your waves, but what you want is you don't want to have straight up and straight down. You want to just have nice rolling waves. where your low months are still good rather than zero. And then your high months are great. So, then you want to ask yourself, if you're at goal, are you funding your IRAs or whatever your retirement is? Are you buying any real estate? Right? When did you pay your taxes? Did you pay your taxes in April? When they were due? Or did you file for the extension and, filed on, today? I mean, your taxes are due today if you filed extension, right? So let's get a Q&A. Oh, that's the original one. Okay. So any thoughts or questions or concerns on that? No? Everybody's asleep. This is designed for you to participate. Remember, there's no CE for this. So so let's talk about the people that are ahead of their goal. So this is what we talked about earlier was, good to great. The enemy of great is good, right? Your life is good for you right now. Your challenges are going to be complacency. You're going to throttle back. Hey, I got this figured out. I don't have to work. No, well, now's your opportunity to really put the pedal to the metal and really, bust it out. Ego gets in the way. You're like, hey, I'm good. I don't have to work as hard as I used to. Things just happen to me. Well, the reason why things are happening for you is because you worked hard for the previous, 90, 180 days. That's why things are rolling. So, are you outpacing the competition? Are you operating at a level to compete? So, because people that are ahead of their goals, these are their behavior styles. They're competitors. How can you stretch yourself? Hey, if you're ahead of your goal, change your goal. It's that simple. Change your goal. Change your goal. Make it higher than you think you can do, and then stretch yourself. Are you because you don't want to go down now because this will kill fourth quarter and first quarter. What does your cash flow look like in the next 3 months? So where can you elevate your game? Think about that. Go through, look at all your systems, right? How good are your systems? Because you should have a lead generation system. You should have a client services system. How do you manage listings? What kind of systems do you have in place to manage sellers? Because remember, people don't run businesses, systems do. People run systems. So even if you're a solo agent, you have to have systems. And believe it or not, you have systems. They're just not written down and they're not very thought out if you don't have any, right? It's just like a script. If you don't have a script, well, you really do, because you say the same things over and over. They're just not always well thought out. So how good are your systems? Go through all your systems. Go through your lead gen, your client services. What about your buyers systems, right? My rules for working with any client, and especially buyers, because I give sellers a little more latitude, because depending on why they're moving, if they got a situation going on, I give them latitude. But buyers, first of all, my rule number one is they have to be nice. If you're not nice, I don't want to work with you. Life's too short. Number two, you have to be motivated, right? Because remember, boys and girls, the pain, first of all, moving is a pain, right? We know that. If anybody here has ever moved, it's a pain. And you know what, Michelle, I'll get to that question in a minute. Let me finish up this thought. And so here's the thing about motivated people. They have to be motivated enough to go through the pain of moving. Because remember, if the pain of not moving has to be greater than the pain of moving. So, in other words, if they don't move, what's going to happen? If they have a real nice home and there's no real pain, well, they're probably not going to move. They're not going to do what it takes. They're not going to go through the hassle of selling, the pain of selling, and then especially in this market, looking for another one. If they're fortunate enough where they can buy another one before they sell, that's a good position. So those people tend to, not always buy because it's such a hassle. So So your question, Michelle, how do we find sellers? And that's a great question. You know, I mean, it is, you know, you have to, first of all, everything you do, right? Um, Everything you say, do, or think has to be geared towards selling, finding sellers, right? Most agents, they just, the gravitational pull of marketing is towards buyers. They want to advertise a house for sale. So here's a little thing I tell agents all the time. I mean, who doesn't have buyers that, who doesn't have a pool of buyers that they're having a hard time finding a house for, right? I mean, we all have those. So first thing I would suggest, Michelle, is you text people, your database, people in your database, a couple at a time, not in a group text, like I use, I have Ring Central, so I can text from my phone. I'm sorry, from my computer. So I can just copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. So it's easy for me. So I recommend, but like if you have a standard cell phone and on an Android, there's messages.google.com. And then what happens is you hit a setting on your phone, and then you on your computer, a QR code comes up, you scan it, and now you can text from your computer screen. Now, I know Apple has one. I don't know how to do it. I don't know anything about Apple. But anyway, so back to that. So you want to text people. So what you text them is, hey, I have a buyer, I have a lovely family, whatever it is, right? That we're having a hard time finding a home for. Who do you know that's considering moving? Right? Bang, send that text out. 2-3 people at a time, one by one, 1, 2, 3, because people respond to text. So you don't want to do a bulk text and then have, and then they all start responding. I mean, you don't want that. So then if they say to you, well, what are you looking for? Right? Don't answer that question. Specifically don't answer. In other words, what I want you to say then is, well, actually, I have a few different buyers. What do you have? Or who do you know, right? Because you don't want to commit to say, well, I got a guy looking in Lehigh, and they go, I got a friend up in Clearfield. I'm like, well, we'll take that too, I mean, so you want to kind of be a little vague and try to get the information out of them. So, and then if somebody does give you a lead, so by showing, you can unmute yourself. What do you guys do for referrals? Somebody sends you a lead. What do you do? Does anybody want to jump in?
I've either taken them to lunch or sending them a card with a gift card inside of it.
Perfect. Anybody else? So Amber, you got your hand raised. Are you looking to speak, or did you just hit the wrong button?
Oh, I had it raised earlier, was just talking about, just when you were talking about systems.
Got it.
Just creating systems, but I'm fine. But no, I ditto on that. A thank you, a gift card, and a card sent out for referrals. So
right. Yeah, what I do is, gift cards are nice, but I got like a stack of them. What I like to do. So let me give you some psychology behind sending a card. And what I do is I put a $50 bill in it. And here's the psychology behind it. If you think about it, what was the first piece of mail you ever received as a human being? Right. Typically, it's a birthday card from an aunt or a grandmother, right? Something like that. When I was a kid, I mean, I'm so old, you only got $1. And I'm sure, I mean, that was it. You got a card with $1. So if I'm 6 years old or 5 years old and I got a card with $1 on my birthday, so what do you think happened on my next birthday? Well, my next birthday, I'm up at 5 a.m. standing by the mailbox, right? I was trained to sit by the mailbox and wait for money. Well, so when you send a card, you start accessing that past experience. Then if they open it up and there's money in it, you're really attaching to that wonderful past experience of a child. And that's a great place to live if you're somebody asking for referrals. Because you're training them to bring you referrals, and they get the money, they're going to bring you more. They're going to bring you more. So that's one way I would look for sellers. And then the other way is, Cloud CMA right? It's a free tool if you're a member of the WFR. And they have a lead generation tool that gives you a home value page. So it's you log in, create your profile, blah, blah, blah. Up in the upper right-hand corner, either have your avatar or your initials. You click on it, scroll down to lead generation, and then you click on that, a page will pop up. It'll say copy link. That's your home value page. Now, I recommend you buy a home value domain and then forward it to that long, ugly URL that they give you. And then you can market that. But even if you don't have the domain, you can use that link in your signature file of your email, because you can do a click here and that's called a anchor text. So click here is the anchor text. And then, but when they click on it, it takes them to your Cloud CMA page. And what happens is they fill in their address and their name and phone number and email. And the Cloud CMA system automatically sends them a PDF with sold data, and it shows them active, sold, and pending houses around theirs. It doesn't give them a CMA, because you don't want to give people a CMA up front. So you don't want to give them a price up front. You want to show them sold data. So in your signature file of your email, why wouldn't you say something like, hey, thinking of selling, question mark? The first thing you need to know are what are homes selling for in your area. Click here for a free automated report. Boom. So, and we're using the text thinking of selling. So that's kind of a filter, right? Now, is it going to be a pure filter where anybody that clicks on it's going to be thinking of selling? No, but it, we want to use our text to kind of filter in that, hey, these are for people that are thinking of selling. You can run ads on that. You can run ads to your database on Facebook and say, hey, thinking of selling, right? Blah, blah, blah. So that's another way. So the key is your whole mind has to be focused on finding sellers, right? So who do you know that's thinking about selling? Rather than, asking that question rather than, anything else. So those are two good tips. One is send text messages out, have the signature file in your email that clicks to a Cloud CMA where they can get a report for the sold data. Okay. Does that answer your question, Michelle? So you guys can talk. Okay. All right. So then the fourth category, D, don't have a plan. So like I said, it's said that 95% of the people don't have a plan. And I'm assuming that's true. There may be more agents that have a plan, because we're more in that kind of self-employed entrepreneurial spirit. So we may have a plan. So if you don't have a plan and a goal, then why not? You're so welcome, Michelle. So why not? Why don't you have a plan? Right? I mean, is your plan, what's that one quote? Those who fail to plan to fail. Right? If you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. So let's talk about it. So let's write a detailed, right? So you want to have a detailed plan. So remember I said your 3 plans, right? You want to have one for October, November, December. So I want you to write down details. The first thing you need to know is you need to pull out a calendar, and you need to write down, you need to mark every day you're going to work between now and December 31st. I want you to write, and it's okay to take time off. So I want you to put down the days you're going to work and the days you're not going to work. And it's okay to take time off, but have a plan. Put it on your calendar. Say, no, I'm working today. That way you don't get lulled into that. It's the holidays. I'm going to stop working, starting November 28th. Wrong answer. So break that down into listing solds and buyer solds. How many closings are you going to have between now and the end of the year? Right? How many listings do you need to carry over the year from December to January to reach your 2022 goals? Right? Break it down into how many weekly appointments you need. Well, let's face it, boys and girls, if you set, here's the thing, you got Monday morning at I don't know what time you get up. I'm an early riser. But let's just say you're a realtor, you know the old joke, right? What's the first thing a realtor does in the morning? They go to lunch, right? So let's just do a work day of 8 to 6, right? A realtor work day, 8 to 6. So if you got up at Monday morning at 8 a.m. and from Monday morning 8 a.m. to Friday evening at 6 p.m., you have one objective in mind, one objective, right? And that is to set a listing appointment. Now, how many, Deb, how do we do raise your hand. No, Deb, how do we do it? Is it a poll or do we just have them raise their hand? Oh, Debbie, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. It just have everybody raise your hand.
Okay. Now I forget the question.
Set
Oh,
a
I-
listing appointment.
Yeah, back to the appointment. So if Monday morning at 8 a.m. to Friday evening at 6, how many people raised their hand if you spent that whole time focused on setting a listing appointment could do it? Raise your hand. So I got one, Richard, Jennifer, yep, Bruce. Yeah, I mean, it should be unanimous. Right? So think about that. So, and then I'll get to you in a second, David. And then so if you set one listing appointment a week, and let's say you work 40 weeks, right? 40 weeks, you take, holidays, vacations, training, blah, 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 whatever, realtor time. So you work 40 weeks. So if you set one appointment a week, that's 40 listing appointments a week, right? I mean, a year. And let's say you take half, right? I mean, you should take more. I mean, let's just say you take 60%. That's 24 listings. 24 listings in a year. And in this market, 80% are going to sell or more. I mean, they'll also be selling if they're qualified properly. So if you have 24 listings times 0.8, I mean, that's 19.2. So that's 20 listings sold. Now, out of those 20, 8 are going to buy something. So think about that. One appointment a week, 40 weeks a year is 28 transactions. 28 transactions. If your average commission is $12,000, that's $336,000 gross revenue. How many people like 336,000 gross revenue? You're darn right we do. So that's only one appointment a week. Just simplify it. So let me get to the question. So David says, I have a goal, stretch goal, and a Mamma Mia goal. I like that one. This keeps me and my team motivated. And even when we meet a goal, also this gets us all thinking big. That is correct. Great comment, David. I appreciate that. Love that. And you have to do that. You got to get that Mamma Mia goal just in case. Because right now, if you're on target, if you already met your goal, you're going to shut down for the rest of the year. That'll destroy your fourth quarter. No, your fourth quarter will be decent because the momentum will carry in there, but your first quarter will be abysmal. Right? So Leslie has a question that says, let's set a listing appointment. How do we do that? Well, the basic script is, when do you plan on moving? I mean, it is that simple. So the sphere of influence script goes like this. So Leslie, I'm going to wing it. I don't prospect for listings anymore. I prospect for agents. That's my job. But I'm going to do my best. So I'm going to role play with you, Leslie. You're going to be the SOI. I'm going to call you up. Say you have to unmute yourself. All right. So Leslie, it's ring, ring.
Ring, ring.
No, I'm calling you ring, ring.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm looking for Leslie.
May I ask who's calling?
Yeah, this is Rob Aubrey. How are you?
Good. How are you doing today, Rob?
I choose this day to be amazing. How do you choose? Right? So let me take a little rabbit trail. The reason why I say I choose to be amazing, how do you choose? That does two things. Number one, it's an affirmation for my mindset. That's number one. Number two, when I ask you, how do you choose? That mean, and I told you I chose to be amazing. That means you're not going to go into your story and tell me how miserable your life is. And I'm okay with not hearing about it because I don't want to hear about it. I mean, if you're my close friend, yeah, I'll help you through it. But so anyway, so I'm going to say, great. Hey, Leslie, I know you're a busy person. Today's call's about business. Do you have a minute?
Sure.
So Leslie, I was wondering, who do you know that's thinking about buying or selling a home in the next few weeks that I could be a great service to?
Well, I was thinking about maybe selling my home.
You were thinking about selling your home?
Yeah, I've been debating it back and forth, but I just don't know if now's the right time.
I
Just
see.
seems so hectic.
Right. Life is hectic. Wouldn't you say, Les?
Mm, got that right.
So let me ask you this. When you sell this, where are you guys moving to?
Someplace warm.
Oh, I hear you. My favorite comment on that rabbit trail is when I used to cold call and I get it, I'd ask where you're moving to. And one guy said, he goes, I'm going to tie a snowblower to the front of my car and drive south till somebody asks, what's that? So I thought that was the best. Well, let me ask you this. So where are you thinking? I mean, are you thinking maybe Arizona, Florida, Texas? What are you thinking?
Yeah, Wellington, perhaps the foothills around Scottsdale.
Okay, great. Well, so you're thinking maybe Wellington, the foothills, right? So when would you like to be in your new place?
By Christmas.
You want to be there by Christmas,
I know, I got to get busy. The elves better show up here soon.
right? So listen, we need to set an appointment now so that I could help you get your home sold, and that way you can be in your new house by Christmas. Won't that be great?
That will be awesome.
Okay, let me ask you, Leslie, which is better for you? Today or would tomorrow work better?
Oh, how about this afternoon around 5?
5? Yeah, let me look at my calendar. I can make 5:30. Would that work?
5:30 sounds great.
Okay. Now let me share a couple things. One, that was a very easy one. Number two,
I'm
But,
easy. Don't tell anyone.
yeah, right. I would say, hey, I'm easy. I'm just not cheap, So, so a couple things. One is I always give her 2 choices, right? Just like a kid. You don't bring a kid to McDonald's and say, what do you want? Right? You bring them to McDonald's, say, you want a hamburger or you want a cheeseburger? Right? You give them 2 choices. But today or tomorrow work better. Well, let's do today. And so she asked for 5 o'clock. Now, what I did there is I'm available 5 o'clock. However, I never allow them to control. So I took the control back away from her. I'm always in control. So I said, would 5:30 work? Because I knew it would. I mean, if it didn't, she would say it. But but let's get back to, let me ask you, and then I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to ask you, but you don't know of anybody right now. So Leslie, I was wondering, who do you know that's thinking about moving in the very near future that I could be of great service to?
Oh, I really can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
Okay, can't think of anyone. Well, listen, hey, I appreciate that. Let me ask you another question. Leslie, has there been anybody in your, say, your church group, your friends, or your family that maybe have been talking about moving?
Yeah, don't go to church. Don't have any friends. No family.
All right, loser. No, I'm kidding. So, but anyway, so the reason why I did that was, see, the first question is called a reflex no. And then the second time I did, so now that I got the no out of the way, so the next time now I'm getting specific. Who do you know, friends or family, or maybe somebody in your neighborhood that's been talking about moving? So the idea is to get their mind thinking. So I got no out of the way. Now their mind is thinking, right? So let me explain the reflex no to you. So I'm a guy. So shopping is not a sport for me. Okay. And it's a chore. So I always use the example of buying a suit. So I'm going to buy a new suit. So I make a budget for what I'm going to spend, 500,000, whatever that is. Then I pick the time. Let's say it's summertime. It's July. It's hot out. So, well, I'm going to go Saturday. And so, well, let's see, what do I got to do Saturday? I got to cut the grass. I got to do this. I got to do that. Well, I'm going to cut the grass first. Let's get that out of the way before it gets too hot. Then I'll go buy the suit. Well, it's hot out. I have shorts on. So I'm going to go to the suit store, but I got to try on with my shoes. So I'm not going to wear my dress shoes and dark socks and shorts.
Well, come on, that
So,
would look good.
yeah. So then I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to be carrying a pair of shoes with socks stuffed in them. And I walk into the suit store. I decided on the day, the time, the location, the budget. And I walk in and I'm carrying a pair of shoes. And what is the trained salesperson? The first thing they do is they walk up to you and say, "Can I help you?" And what is my response?
I need, you
No,
start telling them what you want.
no, you go, "No, I'm just looking."
Oh, no, I'm just looking.
Right? Isn't that the first thing you say when you walk in the store?
Mm,
And that's why they're trained to walk up to you, because they know you're going to say that. That's why they immediately approach you, because they want to get the reflex no out of the way.
Okay,
It's just called a reflex no. We just have, see, we are so inundated with marketing and sales that we're like, stop, stop, stop. No, 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 no. And you're like, you catch yourself. No, I'm just looking. No, wait, wait, wait. I need help. You know, I mean, you say it without even thinking. It's just a knee jerk reaction. So, but anyway, that's how you find sellers. That's how
Okay.
you set listing appointment. You text people, make sure it's, those are, texting people is good because a lot of you will do it. The email thing's passive, but it's still, it's not to be relied on. It's just, why not? You know, the phone call is the primary. The phone call is the primary. Does your database, you know, I guess the next question is, do you have a database? You don't have to answer that. Do you have a database and do you work it? Are you talking?
I'm not good at working my database. I have, Lee Stern is not standing behind me going tap, 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 tap on my head.
Right. No, no, I get it. The database is, like I said, you know, there's no reason. I mean, you couldn't make basic calls and set 40 appointments and get 20. And 20 is a low number. You know, getting half, that's a low number. I mean, if you're calling consistently, and especially if you're calling your database, you should be getting 70%. You know, that's 28 listings.
Do you have that script you would share?
Sure. Yeah, it's actually, it's a Mike Ferry script. It's right on mikeferry.com, but I'll share it with you. So if you want, so here's what I got to do. Well, we have the registration, right, Deb, of everybody to register. And then we have everybody that attended. So I'll send it out. I'll send a follow-up to everybody that attended. How's that?
Yeah,
So-
I'll keep a running list of the
Yeah.
things that you're going to set out.
Yeah. 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 Thank you. So, but it's all about your database. But I mean, it's like 5 questions. And if they have somebody, great. Do you mind if I call them? If they say, no, I can't think of anybody after you ask the second time, then you say, well, let me ask you a question. When do you plan on moving? And they go, well, I don't plan on moving. Great. Can I ask you another question? So if someone you know was considering buying or selling a home, do you have a favorite realtor you refer them to? If they say no, say, great, I'd like to be that agent. And they go, okay. Do you mind if I check in with you periodically? No. Great. Call them up. I mean, it's that simple. These are people that know you. Now, everybody has this notion, not everybody. A lot of people have a notion that I'm in sales, so sales is a bad thing. People think sales is a bad thing. No, bad salespeople are a bad thing. Good salespeople are awesome. We are salespeople. So you have to adjust your mind of what sales means. Sales simply means, sales is a series of questions that leads people to a decision. It's that simple. It's not talk. There's nothing we could say or do to convince somebody to pack their crap and move. They're either moving or they're not. Our job is to identify who's moving and get in there. You got that? That's our job. So anyway, so, you know, break it into weekly appointments. So if you did one appointment a week, hey, if you did 2 a month, you'd still be making good money with today's prices. So be willing to prospect as much as it takes to get the listings. You just have to be willing to prospect. If you're not willing to prospect, then your goal, your why is not strong enough. Your why is not strong enough. So, track your numbers. What do you want to track? How many contacts you make? Don't worry about how many dials, how many contacts, people you actually spoke to, voice to voice, face to face. And then how many appointments you set. So number of contacts, number of appointments, number of presentations, because you can set an appointment, but they may cancel. And then number of presentations, and then number of listings and number of closings, and your buyer sales too. So, and that's what you need to be doing. The next thing you need to be doing, you got to watch out for is don't get caught with bad buyers. What do I mean by bad buyers, right? So you only want to work with buyers that understand the market condition, right? And that are mentally and financially able to purchase now, right? So in other words, we want to make a low offer. Wrong answer, especially on a brand new listing. If it's been on the market for 30 days, well, yeah, you can go in lower, right? But if it's a fresh listing and it's hot, well, no, you can't go in lower. And if they want to start lowballing everything because they're looking for the deal, well, cut them loose. You're not going to make any money. And it's just a waste. I'd rather you spend the next 40 hours prospecting than driving them around and writing offers that aren't going to get accepted.
Rob, that's the one thing, this is Amber, that's the one thing that I have learned over the last year is that if somebody doesn't fit and it's not, and it's, they're just we're not gonna be a good fit, I'm not afraid to cut them loose. I'll
Good for
refer
you.
them out if they're interested in being referred out, but I just don't have time to deal with that. So
Right.
that took a long time to get to that point, but
Right.
Well,
Yeah, like I said, number one, I was starting to say to people I work with, you have to be nice, they have to be motivated, and that's why I explained the pain, right? The pain of not moving has to be greater. And then number three, they have to be willing to work my systems.
yeah.
And if they're not, that's fine. And a buyer, I meet with a buyer, I do what's called a buyer orientation or a buyer listing presentation. And I meet with them. And the way I set that up is, hey, let's get together. We'll sit down. I'll share with you. You share with me your expectations of an agent. I'll share with you my expectations. And, and I'll explain my process. And then if we're a good fit, we'll move forward. If not, that's okay. We'll shake hands and go separate ways. I make it a non-committal appointment. And then what I do is I walk through, financing. I don't go into the weeds with financing. I just kind of gloss over it. The more you have, the better the credit, the more down payment, blah, blah, blah. And then, I ask, you're going to be are you paying cash? Or you're going to get financing. Then I gloss over the financing a little bit. Then once you have your finance in place, then we shop for homes. I show them my website. I connect it to them. I create an account. And then once you then we go out and look at homes. Then when you find one you like, I said, then it's time to make an offer. I pull out a Repsy and I go through the Repsy with them line by line. I give them a copy. Here, hold the pen in their hand. I'm like, you can take notes on the Repsy. I want them to hold the contract in their hand. I want them to write on it. I want them to smell that thing and not be afraid of it later on. So then I do that. And then, no, excuse me. Then, then it's, I go through the Repsy, I go through the buyer due diligence, I go through the FOIA protection, get an inspection, I go through the wire fraud. And then when I'm done all that, I ask them, do you want me to handle the sale? And that, because they don't know, most buyers don't know why they need an agent. You go through those 3 or 4 or 5 documents, and now they're clear on why they need an agent. They didn't know before. It's a lot easier to get a buyer agency contract signed when you go through all the documents. So anyway, so let's move on. So you want to keep track of everything. Don't get caught with bad buyers. The market has shifted some, right? So the key now is you have to know your market stats. You got to know how many homes are available in your market. And you don't have to be like a full on, like, for example, let me give you so I'm going to ask the question. So I want you to answer. You can either unmute yourself and answer it, or you can just type it in the chat or do it in the Q&A, not in the chat, but do it in the, no, you can do it in the chat. It's no big deal. So I'm going to ask, how's the market? And what do you say?
She's hot.
It's hot, right? She's hot. What else? That's what I hear. So I'll tell you the answers I get that are out there. It's hot. It's crazy. It's a good time to sell. It's this and that, right? Well, what does any of that mean? Right? Let me give you an example. One of my agents one time, I was coaching him through this, and he said to the buyer or to the person said, how's the market? And he said, it's a great time to sell. And the guy was a little deflated. And he said, well, when's a good time to buy? The guy had a live buyer in front of him. He kind of squashed him a little bit. So you never want to say anything one direction or another, because hot, what does that mean? Right? That means something to us, but it doesn't always mean anything to a consumer, because you need to know what the consumer's thinking before you can, it's all relative, right? Right. It is all relative. So my first listing was 9/11/2001. Right. There's a date that'll live in infamy, right? I remember that day prospecting. I didn't know what was going on because I didn't watch the news. I still don't, but I never watched or paid attention to anything prior to prospecting because I didn't want anything to ruin my focus. I mean, I went in, I put 2 headsets on, I start dialing the right hand, second ring, start dialing the left hand. When he plan to move, people are like, dude, what are you doing? It's like, they were like hollering at me. I had no idea what was going on. Then I found out and went, holy crap. So anyway, so you got to know stat. So here's what all you need is one basic stat. So you can run in there and look in your market. You can do the MLS wide. You can just do, so you can run a sales per month report. Look at what houses, the median price was, say, the end of last September. And then look at what it was, or last October, and look at what it is at the end of September. That's 1 year. And look at the difference between the 2 median prices. And then you could just, so somebody says, how's the market? You say, well, median sales price is up about 12%, 18%, whatever that number is, comma, why do you ask? Now you sound intelligent, right? You sound like an expert. Knowing stats will make you an expert in the eyes of the consumers, right? If a seller says, can you, you walk in, the place is a pigsty, they got dogs, they got cats, they smoke, it's shag carpet, foil wallpaper, orange counters, brown cabinets, the whole 9 yards. Everything you never want in a listing, and they got them all. And they say, can you sell my home? What is your answer? The answer, anything other than absolutely, is wrong. See, you hesitate. They lost confidence in you. Because we all know how to sell that house. You just have to price it correctly. Right? It's that simple. So the market's shifting. Now, by no stretch are we headed toward a buyer's market. Not even close. In order to have a buyer's market, we'd have to have more sellers than buyers. We don't even have enough houses for the buyer demand. I mean, and we're a couple of years out. So just know stats and know what's shifting. So what's happening now is seller, because the market was doing this straight up and sellers were going straight up with their prices. Well, the market's kind of tapering, it's not going down. It's just not going up as steep, but the sellers are going like this, but the market's going like this, right? They're both going up, but the trend lines are a little different. And there's starting to be a gap between what the sellers think they can sell for and what the market will do. So you have to kind of know that and be good with the sellers and be prepared to battle with them, after you sign the contract. Right? So the next thing is, so you want to know your market stats. Next one is, this one's a big one. This is where I lose people. Create massive accountability. So I'll read my notes and then we'll break them down, right? Lean on your mastermind group. Are you in a mastermind group? Do you have accountability partners and not just one? Do you have role play partners? Lean on them. Do you have a coach? Talk to your coach. If you don't have a coach, get one. If you want to do, you don't need a coach. You only need a coach if you want to do more, right? Get one. And so let's talk about massive accountability. What does massive accountability mean? So here's what it means to me. If I say I'm going to do a certain thing, and in order to have pain and suffering, if I don't do it, I'm going to write a check for $1,000 to someone or some organization that I hate more than anything in the world. And if I don't do it, my accountability partner gives it to them. Now, what do you think about that? By a show of hands, how many people would do that? I got two, and then one took down. There's, we got a handful. Well, I'm impressed, boys and girls. I hope you hate me more than anything else and give me the 1,000. So, but think about that. Because if I said, we're going to donate $100 to charity, well, that's not enough pain, right? What's that going to prove? I give that away to charity all the time. We were doing that last year at Shock and Claws, right? Did anybody here participate in Shock and Claws last year? So if you don't know what it is, Shock and Claws, it's where we would go to, what do you call it? A restaurant, because last year the restaurants were decimated. And and you had to participate, you had to put in $100 towards their tip. And we went in one restaurant, we had over 30 people, just a little ma pa type place. And we handed them over $3,000 in cash. In fact, there was 2 small tables, and they weren't part of our group, but they saw what we were doing, and they got up and they started handing them money. It was awesome. Just the spirit, because we said, look, real estate has been a great year for real estate. We've had a great year. We know you guys have been crushed by these government shutdowns. And so we just want to honor you and say, hey, Merry Christmas. So they loved it. It was awesome. $100. One of the best things you'll ever do for $100. And we'll be doing them again this year. So look out for those. So massive accountability. How many people, let's lower hands. Anybody? How many people on here have a coach? Let's see a show of hands. Got a couple hands. So I saw 2, right?
Have
So
a
the rest-
coach or want a coach.
Right. The only reason why people don't want to coach is because they don't want to be accountable. That's the only reason. So, how many people, the rest of you should have one, right? Hey, I have a coach, right? I coach and I have a coach. Never take a coach that doesn't have a coach. Think about that. Because you think I don't run into stuff, and I run it by my coach. My coach has a coach. My coach is, because as an owner broker, my coach is, we got to get going. My coach is I'm general manager of a 32 office privately held firm. So you think he doesn't have things that I'm not aware of? Hell yeah. So, and the other thing is, attend some kind of training that inspires you and keeps you challenged at least once a quarter. Every 3 months, you should go somewhere away from the office, get a hotel, stay at the event, wherever it is, Mike Ferry, Tony Robbins, all those kind of, do something. Get inspired. Now, I don't recommend you mixing up 3 or 4 different real estate training programs, because what'll happen is you'll get so much conflicting information, you won't do anything. So I don't recommend that. I recommend you find one, stick with it. It would be a Brian Buffini, Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry. It doesn't matter. Pick one and do it. They all work. What I always teach is, look, all lead generation works if you do. Okay. So Work on your 2022 goal, right? Your 2022 goal should, start now, because now is setting up your 2022 goal. How concerned are you about your lifestyle? I like nice things. I like to travel first class. If I can't get a first class ticket, I cry, and then, what are you willing to do to get out of your comfort zone to improve your lifestyle? What risk are you willing to take? Are you willing to make the sacrifices in the work you do to better your lifestyle 3 to 5 years from now, right? Do you want the same production and income 3 years from today? Are you willing to do what it takes between now and Christmas to make something happen? What are the first 3 steps you have to take? And if you want, you can email me and tell me what that is. If you want a homework, email me. I'll email it out and I'll give you the homework in email. So that's all I got. So I'll stick around for a few more minutes. Before we go, so during CE, I'm not allowed to, what do you call it? Promote myself during a CE class. So we're not in the CE. And so I'm going to promote myself. Shameless plug. I'm a real estate broker. And if you're thinking about switching brokerages, if you're with a great brokerage, great. No big deal. If you're ever thought about switching, I'd love to talk to you. We're a virtual company, so we have hardly no overhead, which means we have a great savings to pass on to you. So we're a flat fee, transaction fee based brokerage. So it's very inexpensive. We have some amazing training. This is the free stuff I give away. So I always say, if you pay me, meaning you write deals in my name, then you get better training. We have a listing concierge service. So you can go in and fill out a form. Knows who you are because you complete your profile, knows who your title company is. You just click on the button, order title, yes. Order sign, yes. Install lockbox, yes. Order photos, pick out the photo package you want. Order just listed, open house postcards. It'll tell you the price of everything. We don't charge anything. The cost is all the pass-through cost. You just scan, you pay right there with Venmo, and then all those services are fulfilled for you. Pretty cool. Listing concierge service. You just fill out once. All you have to do is, you already know who you are. You have to fill in the property address, click a bunch of clicks, pay, and all the services are completed for you. We have a marketing service where we do 3 social posts a week on your social business page. We can't do your personal profiles. We do 1 email a week to your database. And we have an in-house direct mail marketing solution so you can talk to your database. All you have to do is call them up once a quarter. That's it. So we have all that. That's a $25 a month service, $300 a year. The only reason why we charge is so we're not doing it free for everybody that's not producing. We just want serious people. If you're, for $300 a year, we're going to talk to your database a lot. And then the postcards are 60 cents, print and mailed out the door. You do nothing. You upload a list and it's set and forget. It's just like creating an email campaign. So if you'd like to learn more about us, give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. So that's all I got, boys and girls. Thank you. So Leslie, I can talk to you privately. Well, no, I'll just say it out loud. My split is $5.59 per transaction, and that includes your errors and omissions insurance. No monthly fees. There's nothing. That's it. And if you charge your clients, you can charge your clients a percentage and $559. I have agents that charge $559. I have agents that charge $350 in addition to their percentage. So if you charge $559 plus your percentage, then I'm free. You paid for it. And if you did 20, think about it. If you charge $559 to 20 deals and you did 20 deals, you just added another $11,000 a year to your business. Just by editing your contract, you've added over $10,000 a year to your bottom line by doing nothing more but editing a document. Think about that. So I'll stick around a little longer. If you have any questions, please contact me. So we'll be here, but you can always contact me direct. My email is rob@aubrey.net, rob@aubrey.net. Let's face it, boys and girls, if you can't find me, you're not looking. So, okay. Awesome. Thanks.